Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of the Rob and Mo Show. So imagine if the movie Trading Places was a show about football. That's what this is.
Is it?
Yes.
I can't remember what happens in Trading Places.
Well, that's probably for good.
Okay.
All right. If you haven't watched Trading Places, go out and
Eddie
watch
Murphy
it.
in that?
He is, yes.
Did you watch the Eddie Murphy thing on Netflix?
Yes, I did.
So good, wasn't
Really,
it?
really good.
I might watch it again.
Yeah, I'm amazed by he's got a very high opinion of himself, but then he is Eddie Murphy. So
He's Eddie
you gotta
Murphy.
Let him go
Yeah.
a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, watch that, watch Trading Places, and watch this. So I should probably point out that this show is brought to you by our friends at NordVPN. If you go
Love those guys.
We do love them,
Yeah,
and they love us because they keep sponsoring all of our shows. So thank you to NordVPN. If you want to take advantage of their great deals, go to nordvpn.com/TAW and you get a deal exclusive to you and you and you and you. Oh, Ben Johnny thing.
I don't get the deal because I've already subscribed years ago.
Well, there you go.
No deal for Rob. Come on, no.
You're an OG.
Can I have a retro deal?
But for all of you out there, do you want internet security with a little bit of extra peace of mind?
Yes.
Do you want to have the ability to change your virtual location for reasons unknown at the click of a button?
Maybe.
Do you like having a 30-day money-back guarantee?
Yes.
Everyone likes that. Well, there you go. All you need to do is come alongside with NordVPN, nordvpn.com/TAW. All you need to know.
NordVPN.com. I think you need a jingle for this. Do you like
jingle. That's not a bad shout.
/TAW.
I don't know. It sounds a bit like an 80s call centre.
It does.
We'll workshop that.
So just talk like that for the rest of the show.
I feel like...
No. I won't. We're not going to talk about football. You promised.
Well, this is the thing, right? I feel like you're kind of trying to delay. This is like a kid who doesn't want to get up for school in the morning.
It is.
And I'm gonna have
diversion,
I'm going to have to rip the blanket off of you, which is kind of handy because it pulls me into my first topic, which I have a theory called blanket theory. And I say it's my theory. I didn't make it up.
This is Rafa Benitez's theory.
It's Rafa Benitez's
He called it the duvet theory.
Yes, but I'm calling it blanket theory.
Right, fine.
Essentially what it means is that you've got something that doesn't quite cover all of your areas. So if you're solving one problem, you're creating one in another.
Unless you buy a bigger blanket.
And I feel like that's where Liverpool's defence is at the moment.
Bigger blanket.
Yes.
Is he called Mark Gahey?
You can call the blanket whatever you want. Yeah. But the point is that as we sit here about to play PSV, Liverpool got a bit of a defensive crisis. They've got 5 fit defenders at the moment, and
they're all playing badly.
Well, most of them aren't playing at their best, put it that way. And also, we should point out the fact that while Calvin Ramsey was in the squad for the last 2 league games, he is not eligible for the Champions League, so he is out of the mix for this one. So there's been lots of talk about Slot's use of midfielders, in particularly a right back, but then obviously at certain times in games we've seen Gravenberch go into centre back. Do you think that in itself is causing some problems? Do you think it's something that he needs to look at in terms of is the risk and reward lining up?
I don't know. I mean, even if we were in good form, given the injuries, given the games coming so thick and fast, what was it, 7 in 22 days? I think we've had one of them now. The manager had a job on his hands how to rotate this situation well. I think the starting point really is, does everyone expect Virgil van Dijk and Ibu Konate to play every single one of these 7-day games before 6 now, before we have a 1-week break? Do we expect that? If we don't, we've got to say, well, at some point, Joe Gomez is going to come in once or twice.
Yes.
If you work backwards from that, you go, do we really want to... And I think centre-half's sort of a more important position for the security of a team, in theory. And I think this is what's led to the hesitation of risking Joe Gomez. But if you don't give him some minutes, what are you physically putting into the team to rest Ibu or Virgil? What are you putting in? My guess is we're going to give him an hour tonight, a right back, and then you're not going to see him at West Ham. Then you might see him next week at Sunderland.
That's interesting.
That's what I think. You come in and repeat games.
Going to your question of do you expect to see the centre-halves play all those games, I think centre-half is a very important position, and it's the kind of position where you have seen in the past players do that.
Yes.
So I think most people would expect Virgil to do that. Because
you can, but I think there are red zone dangers. Because if we lose one of them, God help us, quite frankly.
That's true. But I think because, well, we're going to come on to talk about our position in the Champions League in a little bit, but there are no domestic cup games. These are Premier League, Champions League.
Yeah.
These are important games. Virgil van Dijk has been known to play almost all of the Premier League and Champions League games as seasons go by. Yes, he is getting older, but I think in this situation as the captain, he would probably quite like to stand up and say, look, I can take on this burden.
He's playing, but he's played every single Dutch minute as well, hasn't he?
He has, yes. Thankfully, there are not going to be any more of those for a while. Obviously, Konate is an issue, isn't it? Because there's so many different things.
He has got a history.
He has got a history in terms of his injuries, but then you've got to look at the fact that he's just not playing very well at all at the moment. I think if
it's good game, bad game, or good, bad. You know, I mean, we weren't on. It was good against Real Madrid. I mean, that's the biggest game in world football in theory at that point.
I think there'll be lots of people who would look at the season as being like bad, good, bad, good, bad.
I think that's fair. Yeah.
So
it's more of that.
Yeah.
Well, that's why. But we're just humouring him till Mark Gahey comes, aren't we? Yeah, Eby, you're the man. Just play a bit better, and then get lost. You know.
I mean, it's not that simple.
It's not that simple.
And there was quite a few, as I've mentioned, there are quite a few games between now and January the 1st.
I know.
Even if Liverpool were to go out there and get him the soonest possible opportunity. So that means, going back to what you were saying before about which is the most important, because you look at the idea of if you are going to be... People didn't want to see Dom Szoboszlai playing right back, for example, because they think he's more important to play in midfield. And I would argue that is a very live and very fair comment, because it's not just about how he affects the midfield, it's how he affects the forwards in front of him.
Yeah.
So then that almost takes him off the board. Then you've got the situation with Gomez, you've got Curtis Jones, you can even look at Wataru Endo playing at the right back. But then if you want a defender to be as a right back, then that means that Konate has to play. Then it becomes, which of those things are you more willing to trust Konate again, and then have Gomez at right back, or are you thinking just for? There's an element of the meritocracy of a squad that if someone is playing that badly consistently, they shouldn't be rewarded with continual minutes. That argument kind of comes into it as well, I think.
As I said, I think my starting point would be that I think it's time to give Joe Gomez. I mean, I don't know his exact fitness. I mean, he trained even with painkilling injections last week. He didn't train fully. The manager might just think, we can't give this boy even. So he might just think he's not ready to start yet. He might think he needs a full, clean week's training. So he may say he has to come off the bench. I think it's very 50-50. I think, you know, there's a clamour to give Joe some minutes. If you do, you give him an hour, do you give him right back, do you let Ibu have a rest? I just don't know, Mo. I think I'd be inclined to give him an hour at right back, really. I think I would.
I think that this is the other thing that we all have to consider as well. Is that you're right to mention Joe's injury issues, the injection that Slot revealed last night in his press conference that he had. And I get the sense that Slot's not really wanted to go too explicit on Joe's injury issues. I don't know whether or not that's protecting him or not. But I think the more that the clamour has come for Ibu to be replaced, it's almost like Slot saying, well, this is kind of why he hasn't been replaced at this point. So I do think that considering Joe's injury history as well, we do have to be very careful with him because, as you say, if he then does go down, then we are in a world of trouble.
I made this point on it was in the Monday show, the free show, that we are at a kind of shit or bust position, though, with Joe Gomez. It could be argued, and this might sound ruthless, what I'm going to say, but I mean, and it is the proviso is that Liverpool are genuinely going to sign Mark Gahey at the beginning of the next transfer window. If somebody could promise me that, or promise Arne Slot that, I think there's a case to say, just play Joe and be damned. Quite frankly, you know, there's 8 more games before the turn of the year. I think now the 6 prior to the week before Tottenham. We got Tottenham, and then there's the 27th Wolves game. Yeah, so you could argue that by the time you get Mark Gahey through the door, that Joe Gomez is not going to be of much use for the rest of the season unless you have an injury crisis. Let's put it this way: he's had next to 0 minutes this season, I think, so far. So why is he going to get any minutes when you bring another defender in? So the argument would be is use him or lose him. You know, it's a variation on that concept.
So I mean, when Mark Gahey was looking like he was going to sign in the summer, Joe Gomez was going to leave. Yeah, like that deal was already in place for whenever the Liverpool deal was made. So the idea that Liverpool would have both of them at that stage didn't seem right. No. Whether they would change their mind now, considering what's happened to Leone,
No, that's a very
Because I mean, are they going to go out and buy 2 centre halves in January? I don't think that.
Unless a unique market opportunity, to use a phrase, presented itself. I mean, who they link with beyond Gahey, people like Branthwaite and Bastoni,
Nico Schlotterbeck,
all transfers that don't seem doable in January, to my mind.
No.
So, and Liverpool have form; they're not going to make a panic buy. They're not going to be able to bring those forward. So I think you're right. I think in an ideal world, Liverpool would sign Mark Gay on the first, and they would say to Joe Gomez, "Can you just hang around till the end of the season, please? And then we'll give you a move on very generous terms to you." That's what they might negotiate with.
Yeah, and I think that Joe is he's the longest serving player at the club. He's a good servant. He's been a very, very good team man. So I understand, or I would believe that he would be amenable to that. The other thing you've got to mention is that his World Cup hopes appear to be gone. So
there's no retrieving.
It doesn't feel like he needs. Yeah. He's in a desperate move. He needs a move to kind of get in there.
I think it's, to be honest with you, if I was Joe Gomez and his agent, it's just about the dough now, I'm afraid. For what he's still got a few good years left if he can sort these injury problems out. I think England's a pipe dream, really.
Somewhere where he can go and get regular minutes, maybe somewhere
good contract,
good contracts, maybe somewhere closer to home. Oh, that might.
How many years has he got left? It must be a year or two.
Oh, so I think it's less than.
It's not this summer though.
No,
right?
no, it's not this summer. No.
So you see, so therefore, in theory, if Liverpool were to let him go this summer, they could look for a fee of some sort. But Liverpool could do a deal with Joe now and go, look, just be patient. Play the willing deputy, and we'll let you go for a very, very modest fee in the summer, which means you'll get a better contract.
Yeah, hell, we might even give him a testimonial if we still do those things.
Yeah, why don't they do that?
I don't know. Anyway, so before we move on to the attack, I did want to do one last thing about the whole midfielders and defence thing, because Slot said something in his press conference yesterday which pricked my ears up. And those of you who've watched my press conference review on YouTube, don't do it now, will have heard me talk about this. Slot said that part of the reason why Liverpool was so bad at defending,
yes,
particularly in the Forest game, is that Forest had half an hour of just pure defending where they were in defence mode, whereas Liverpool were very much in attack mode. So when the moment came for them to suddenly start defending, they weren't in the right frame of mind. They lost focus, and therefore that's how the first goal happened.
Is that what the manager said last night? Was
it?
Do you know that he was listening to me on the Monday show? It's almost exactly what I said. And I said, that's the problem. It's not just in this game. It's a problem for a top team in a bad place. Because I said, Liverpool are what, 12th, 11th, 12th, I don't know where they are at the moment. Right. Teams that are used to being 11th are used to going into a game knowing they defend the nil they've got to start with. And then if they can find a goal, happy days. But a team like Liverpool at 1-0 down is trying to score 3 goals with every goal. And I gave the example on the show about the goal we conceded last minute against Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park. Frimpong leaves his man on the back post because all he has the mindset, we've got to break quickly from this corner. We can still win this.
Yes.
Unfortunately, he doesn't focus on the fact that so could Palace, and they do, but because his man's are marked and slots in the last minute, and Ketia was it, I think.
Yes.
And Slot is right. Forest were throwing everything on the line, bodies on the line. Liverpool didn't. Liverpool had the attitude of a top team who were impatient with the idea that, like, Forest, why have you got the ball up our end of the pitch, please? We need to get it up the other. So it's almost like those situations you've seen in peak Liverpool times, maybe under Klopp, maybe under Slot, where Virgil van Dijk would actually allow a shot at Alisson. Do you know what I mean? Rather than give away a corner. I'll take him a bit wide. Ali will deal with this. We'll be back on the attack.
I mean, I understand all of that, and that is very much a valid reason for why we saw what we saw.
Is it acceptable, though?
That's my point. I don't think it is. And I think there's 2 schools of thought here. One, I think that you should have a higher level of focus. And I think back to the team at its very best, the 1920 team, just as an example, the team that won game after game after game after game after game after game. They were just as dominant with the ball. They had so much more of the attack. But when it was time to defend, they were switched on. They were ready to go.
Yeah.
And that focus element is something that there are a couple of players currently in our defensive ranks. I think of Konate, I think of Kirkade in particular, for whom focus isn't their strong suit in general. Then you add into the fact that you put in midfielders in the defensive line whose defensive instincts aren't as sharp, aren't as keen, aren't as honed from years of playing as a defender. And suddenly you get that situation. So this is what I'm saying. is having so many midfielders as defenders exacerbating that problem?
He's having so many midfield players as defenders.
Because we talk about the fact that they aren't thinking about defending. So when they do have to defend, it's suddenly a surprise. One of the things, I said this in my show as well, one of the things about Joe Gomez is that he's always a worrier. He's always worrying about what could go wrong, the worst case scenario. Kind of like Carragher was when he was a defender. He's always thinking, if this goes wrong, where are we? What are we doing? What do we do? And I think that if you're going to be playing defence, you need to have that instinct. And as I say, I think some of our defenders don't have that instinct, so let alone the midfielders.
I mean, Slot talked in his press conference about defending as a team, and managers, sometimes it's just a cliche, or they're just saying it. But that is the point. If Liverpool have played a lot against teams that have low blocked them this season, which means you tend to overload your forward positions. You'll put your midfielders in forward positions. You take the necessary risks. I mean, peak Guardiola teams have always done that. Mm-hmm. The peak Guardiola teams remedied the potential of being countered on by having someone to foul, Fernandinho to do a tactical foul, or a Rodri to do a tactical foul. Klopp's teams dealt with it by having the strikers very switched on as defenders. Mm-hmm. So because it was a win-win. They blocked the counter and they could also put us back on the offensive with the lauded gegenpress. I think in some respects we're not getting that pressure on the ball from the forward positions. No. I'm not sure it's certainly not the aging version of Salah's game. I've never thought Cody Gakpo can really press. He's occasionally quite an intelligent interceptor, but he's not an aggressive presser. That's true. I'm not sure Ekitike, sometimes I think he's got that in him, but I think he needs coaching the discipline of when to press. So we're playing, it's whatever it isn't, is peak Salah, peak Mane, and Bobby Firmino, who literally was the greatest attacking presser of a ball in human history.
I think so.
That's what we're missing.
Yes. And you mentioned those three forwards, Gakpo, Ekitike, and Salah. I think most people expect that to be the forward line for this game this evening. Let's focus on Cody for a minute, because he was, again, up in front of the press last night, and he spoke very well about a lot of things, actually, about the responsibility these players feel for their current situation, but also their ability to block out the noise, because there have been times in recent games where it's felt like when one thing has gone wrong for them, the house is kind of caved in, and it's almost as if they're playing the whole situation they're in rather than the initial game. So to hear him talk about how they are working harder on trying to block out the noise, I thought was interesting. But
is that what he said? They're working harder to block out the noise?
Yes.
Well, that's a tacit acceptance that the noise is an issue.
Yeah. Well,
why wouldn't it be?
Well, I mean, he was specifically asked about it, and so I feel like that's partly why he kind of went down that road. But
were you surprised? I mean, him being pushed out in front of the media suggests he's a certain starter, doesn't it?
It's against his former team as well. And
I know, but we're not in the charity business here. I mean, he plays because the manager wants him to play or not.
No. But I mean, I thought he was likely to play anyway. But yes, the fact that it's his former team is probably why he was.
How many of the next 5, and without thinking about the opposition too much, out of Liverpool's next 5 games, how many would you want Cody Gakpo to be starting, assuming the forwards are all fit?
See, this is the coin, isn't it? So,
okay, if Florian Wirtz was included,
okay. So if you got Wirtz, Ekitike, Gakpo,
Isak and Salah.
No, I mean as the options for that left side in particular.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't put Rio in there because I'm not sure he's on option to start any of those games.
No.
I would say probably I'd expect him to start 3 out of the 5. I think.
Would you? I think with a good tailwind, with no injuries, I think there's an ideal front 3 of. Well, if Isak becomes a £125 million player, he starts every game, more or less. Well, notwithstanding fitness issues. Salah, notwithstanding fitness issues as well, would start every game. And then I think you would see Wirtz on the left-hand side, but with Ekitike coming in for him and coming in for Isak. And they would be my 4. And I actually think the manager would, with a good tailwind and form, they would be his 4, that he would be mainly rotating. And Gakpo would be on the fringe of that.
Well, it's difficult, isn't it? Because we look at Gakpo last season and we look at the numbers he was putting up and think, well, he was integral to that team. But you also have to remember that he wasn't playing 90 minutes game in, game out, because he was playing maybe 65 minutes and then under 65 minutes Slot would bring on a striker, Diaz would move out there, and he'd go to the bench. And in some games, he'd start on the bench and then come off. So it wasn't as if he was the only man for that station all of last season.
And Diaz did most of the defending in the front three.
Diaz
was the closest
best
to
of that.
Closest to
Absolutely.
Bobby Firmino. He did the running.
Definitely. So you mentioned the Isak question. I wanted to bring something else up because the question I asked Cody was about his relationships with the left back behind him and also the strikers, and how he feels like. Does he feel like he's had to adapt his game to get used to these new players? And he's kind of said, "Oh well, these things take time, and he's getting used to everybody, etc., etc." He didn't really say anything about adapting his game. The reason I asked him that question is something that our good friend Sam Maguire flagged up in his latest article, is that the wide forwards Liverpool have and the wide forwards that Isak had at Newcastle play completely different games. Like Jacob Murphy and Anthony Gordon are cross early, go on the outside kind of wingers.
Yes.
Very unlikely to play narrow, try cut inside. Whereas both Salah and Gakpo, that's their game. So
did you notice Cody was going outside his man more on Saturday?
It did.
And quite productively so, I thought.
Yeah.
I mean, although he came out of the game getting criticised, and possibly rightly so on balance, he's had a good first half hour, I thought.
He did. I think he was very productive in that point. And like you say, it felt like he'd been given extra direction. So my point is that do you think that those things are going to help Isak in terms of if we start thinking about maybe
This is why you need to buy Semenyo, basically.
Is it something that the current players can adapt to, or as you say, do we need to get new players?
I think we definitely need a pacey. I mean, we need a pacey winger. A pacey winger who has the confidence to go out to go both sides, and he's an unpredictable but intelligent pacey winger. Where's one of them? That's why we keep landing on Semenyo, because he can play both sides. So he could. I think that's the skill set we're missing. Semenyo, for my mind, is as close as you'll get to Sadio Mane in a simplistic sense. Cody Gakpo, until that first half against Forest, it really established himself as a one-trick pony. The guy would cut inside, dink it to the far post. But I suppose, maybe to be fair to him, his other trick was a nose for arriving in the 6-yard box.
Yes.
He does have a striker's nose on him. My criticism of Cody Gakpo is more about that he doesn't have enough touches on a ball during a football match. He's just a little bit passive. He reminds me of players from the 80s when I first, when I was young. We had a guy called John Walk who played for Scotland and Ipswich before Liverpool. I think he scored in all comps. He's a central midfield player, but scored, I think, 22 in one season. But he was shit. But all Walk would do, he had a knack for arriving late in the box. David Platt, much lauded for England in the 90s, similar sort of player. I was going to throw unfairly Freddie Ljungberg into that mix, but I think the more generous thing is economical players who can do good numbers. And I think there's a danger in the modern age where we're very goal contributions centred, that you can over-exalt those players. Like Gakpo and Diaz virtually get the same numbers last season. Diaz gets more in the league, and overall Gakpo has won more than him. Diaz is, for my money, twice the player. And maybe some people will go, "Oh, it's not that," but the numbers aren't the tail of the tape.
The one thing about Diaz that I always thought was odd, though, is that he didn't get a lot of assists. Like, I think he got 5.
A lot of pre-assists, though. You see, no one counts. No one counts there. He beat 2 men in his own half. Switched the ball inside to a centre mid, and we're up the pitch and away. And those sort of things. Again, this is the tyranny of the numbers situation.
Perhaps.
Sorry, who's calling me? It's Cody. No, Cody, not now. We'll talk about it, mate.
We'll discuss this later, Cody. Okay, so let's move on. Did you watch any of the football from last night?
I'm not watching football at the moment, though. apart from Liverpool, I have to watch. But I kept an eye on proceedings. Delighted to see Man City lose again.
Yes.
Really happy about that. I was initially shocked and had a bit sick in my mouth when I saw the Chelsea scoreline, and then realised there was 10 men involved.
Yes.
So I thought, okay, let's calm down.
Well, the thing about that is that I think the defeat for Barcelona, for City, and for Newcastle, throw them in there, actually make Liverpool's job a lot easier. If Liverpool win tonight, they'll go on to 12 points, which, assuming one of Arsenal or Bayern win that game, will put them joint second, probably in about 4th or 5th in the Champions League table. So when you consider Liverpool got 2 tricky away games to come at Inter and Marseille, and then the final game against Karabakh, if Liverpool can get this win tonight, would you say they're maybe 1 foot in the top 8?
Well, I mean, I can argue. I've argued all day long, nights with Neil, about what points will get you top 8. I think it was 16 last season got you top 8, and I suspect it'll be about that again. I think in any one given season we'll see a range of 15 to 17s, and I think 16's about right. So I suppose you want 17 to be sure. So we need 8 from 4, don't we?
Yeah.
So if you won 1 tonight, you would need 5 from the remaining 3, which is a win and 2 draws. I wouldn't want to tempt fate, but given Karabak's the last one, you'd then go to Milan and Marseille going, a couple of free-ish hits, win one of them when we're through. But I think the big if here is we have to win tonight, and this is no easy fixture for us. No. Not in as much as when you've lost a zillion games on the bounce. There are no easy games, and we're coming up against a confident team who have won quite a lot of games out of in their start to the season, who I think will fancy that this is their time. They will definitely say this to each other in the dressing room. No better time to play Liverpool at Anfield than tonight. No better time. Let's make it count. And we are up against it here.
Yeah, it's funny actually, because I was in Anfield last night. I was watching PSV train, and while lots of the Dutch journalists were very much treating it as a tourist enterprise and very excited and giddy to be in the famous Anfield, the players very much were treating it just like any other game, any other training session. And I think you're right. I think that they will feel like they've got a better chance than they've ever had to come out and get a result. They will probably also think that if they can get the first goal, then things massively turn in their favour.
That's what I think. Yeah.
And it's remarkable. So I'm not going to go too heavy on this because I'm probably going to ask Arne Slot about it tomorrow in his press conference. Spoiler alert. Last season, Liverpool go behind 21 times. They concede the first goal 21 times.
Last season, was that the season before under Klopp you're talking about?
No, last season under Slot.
21 times.
21 times.
In the league?
In all
comps, right.
21 times they concede the first goal.
Yeah.
6 times that ends in defeat. So 7 wins, 7 draws from those 21 games. This season...
So do you know what? That's still a lot of times to be going behind.
There's a lot of times to be going behind, but if you think about... Well, the point is about the resilience and the fact that they're able to go behind and not let it affect them. This season, they've gone behind 9 times and lost 8 games. The Frankfurt game being the only exception. That is a stark difference. When you consider, like you say, 21 times is a lot of times to go behind to concede the first goal. We've lost more games this season in that situation than last season already.
What that stat doesn't quite show, and I don't think it's redemption enough, is that Liverpool actually have got back into those games where they've gone behind quite a number of times. How many times have they pulled it back? Only to it's the subsequent throwing it away.
Yeah.
If they came back against Brentford, they got I think they got one back. They got a goal back.
So Palace, Chelsea, and United were the ones where they got equalisers.
Yes,
and
Frankfurt, which they turned around.
Yes.
So there's 4. I mean, Brentford, there were times we come back into.
The difference is, though, how Liverpool got back into those games. Because if you think about the games this season, they've got back into those games by Slot throwing the kitchen sink at everything.
Yeah.
Whereas last season, he didn't have to do that. It was a little tweak here, a little tweak there. So then when they were able to get level, it wasn't suddenly... When the opposition decided they wanted to start attacking again, there wasn't glaring holes everywhere. At the moment, there seems to be more... There's less structure in that comeback, which is then allowing the teams to then return the favour.
Yeah, but you're looking at me like I've got an answer to why that is. But maybe viewed in 10 years' time, we'll go, Liverpool went behind an awful lot as a club from was it Klopp's last season, Slot's first season? Because that's quite a number of times. That's the bigger issue to me, is that we're a team that goes behind. Because I wonder if Arsenal, who were nowhere near us in the league, I wonder if they went behind as often as we did last season. I bet they didn't.
No. I think Arsenal's problem was going 1-0 up.
And they're not holding the league.
Yeah. That was their problem. Anyway, we could be here talking about this all day, but there's a game to play this evening, and both of us, I believe, are going to be there.
We are.
Indeed. Hopefully Liverpool are going to be there as well. Yes, thank you all for watching. As I said before, go back and watch my press conference review, Most Stewart Journalists, on YouTube, and we'll see you another time.